What is the central theme of the poem?
The struggle between human suffering and the desire for escapism. Keats explores mortality, transience, beauty, imagination, and the conflict between the real world and the ideal world of art.
Who or what does the nightingale symbolize?
The nightingale symbolizes timeless beauty and immortal art. Its song never dies, even though individual birds do. It represents the continuity of artistic expression across generations.
Why does Keats feel a drowsy numbness at the beginning?
The numbness reflects emotional exhaustion, grief, and his longing to escape from worldly suffering. Listening to the nightingale's joyful song makes him painfully aware of his own sadness.
What is Keats escaping from?
He wants to escape human misery, aging, sickness, death, and emotional pain. His own experiences with illness and losing loved ones intensify this desire.
What role does nature play in the poem?
Nature offers beauty, inspiration, and temporary escape. The nightingale's song transports Keats into a dreamlike world where he feels free from suffering.
Why does Keats mention hemlock and lethe?
These references suggest forgetfulness and a desire to numb pain. Lethe, the river of forgetfulness in Greek myth, symbolizes escape from memory and suffering.
What is the meaning of dryad of the trees?
Keats imagines the nightingale as a forest spirit, a dryad, emphasizing its mystical and eternal qualities.
Why does Keats wish for a draught of vintage?
He longs for wine as a symbol of escape, joy, and emotional release. Wine represents an attempt to leave behind life's burdens.
What is the significance of the forest setting?
The forest is a symbol of mystery, imagination, and natural beauty. It represents a world far removed from human suffering.
Why does Keats contrast the nightingale with the human world?
To highlight the timeless, carefree existence of the bird versus the pain, aging, and mortality of humans. This contrast strengthens the poem's emotional conflict.
What does the phrase the weariness, the fever, and the fret describe?
Human suffering, anxiety, sickness, aging, and emotional stress. It captures the painful realities from which Keats wants to escape.
Why does Keats use vivid sensory imagery?
To immerse readers in his emotional experience, sight, sound, smell, and touch create a dreamlike world that feels alive.
What is the significance of darkness in the poem?
Darkness symbolizes uncertainty, imagination, and detachment from reality. It allows Keats to rely on imagination rather than sight.
If these lines have touched you, let your quiet support follow. A like, a subscribe, and we continue together through the poetry of the night.
How does the nightingale's song affect Keats emotionally?
It brings joy, comfort, and a feeling of transcendence. For a moment, he feels lifted out of his suffering and connected to something eternal.
What does Keats mean by easeful death?
He imagines a peaceful, gentle death inspired by the beauty of the bird's song. It reflects his acceptance of mortality and desire to escape pain.
Why does Keats reject the idea of dying in the nightingale's world?
Because death would silence his own senses. and he would no longer hear the bird. This realization brings him back to reality.
What is the significance of the word forlorn?
Forlorn breaks the dream. It pulls Keats back from imagination to painful reality. The spell of escapism is shattered.
How does Keats use mythology in the poem?
He references Lethe, Dryads, Bacchus and Ruth to enrich meaning, connect emotions to ancient stories, and show the universal desire for escape.
What does Keats mean by the fancy cannot cheat so well?
Imagination cannot permanently remove real pain. Escapism is temporary.
Why does the nightingale fly away at the end?
Its departure symbolizes the fading of Keats's dream. The poet must face reality again.
Why does Keats question whether his experience was real or imagined?
The emotional shift between dream and reality is so intense that he doubts his own senses. It reflects the fragile nature of escapism.
How does the poem reflect Keats's own life?
Keats suffered from illness, the death of loved ones, and emotional pain. The poem mirrors his longing for peace and escape from suffering.
What is the tone of the poem?
Melancholic, dreamy, reflective, and emotionally rich, it moves between sorrow and ecstasy.
How does Keats use contrast in the poem?
Between mortality and immortality, pain and joy, reality and imagination, human world and bird's world. These contrasts deepen the poem's emotional impact.
What does the poem say about art and creativity?
Art, like the Nightingale's song, endures even when individuals die. Creativity provides a temporary escape from suffering and connects humans across time.
What does the viewless wings of poesy symbolize?
Poetry and imagination lift the poet beyond reality, just as wings lift a bird.
What lesson does the poem leave the reader with?
That beauty and imagination offer moments of escape, but reality always returns. Human life is fragile, but art endures.
Thank you for journeying through Keats's twilight world. If this ode whispered something to your heart, let your likes and subscribes echo back. Return again for more poems, more meanings, and more wanderings through the lantern-lit paths of literature.